What's up, guys? Braden here from AddictGaming.com. And today, the blog for the first 6 months of 2013 plans for Guild Wars 2 came out by Colin Johanson, and he had a few things to say. Overall, it was pretty good. There are a few things I'm excited about, a few things that I'm not really disappointed about, but I wish he would have gone into more detail and more specifics. But I'm sure we'll see blog posts later on talking about that. So anyway, the first thing he wanted to touch on was just the game itself and how, kind of referring back to the manifesto, letting you play the way you want to play and all that stuff, talking about that. And he wanted to make sure that they didn't want to change their game philosophy. So all the stuff that's coming up and the certain changes they're making are going to be based around that. So he goes on to talk about the rewards. Now, for your daily and monthly achievements, you're actually going to get a currency for it now. Not in January, but it's going to be starting in February. It was said on the forums. Someone asked that question earlier on the forums, and Colin said that it won't start until February. So basically, you get a currency for your daily and monthly achievements. I don't know if it applies to other achievements or they're going to put in achievements that that give that currency as well. But you could use that currency to buy gear, and you could use that currency to buy. There's a screenshot on the post, but they had like unidentified dyes, and they had obsidian shards and things like that. So I think it's a good way to give people, almost people who don't even do dungeons or anything like that, who kind of just play solo almost. It gives them a way to get the stuff they need as well. If you're just going around doing events and things like that. And another thing, talking about the dailies, they're actually changing up the dailies. So the dailies are going to be every single day they're going to be different. So you're going to have to go to different places and do different things instead of just the same thing every single day. You know, but right now it's like kill X amount of different types of enemies. You have to gather a certain type of thing, or not a certain type of thing, but you have to gather a certain amount of times. But now they're going to actually change it, so you have to go different places and do different things. And what they want is they're going to give you a list of maybe like 6 things that you can do, and you can actually choose which ones to do. You have to do like 4 out of the 6, it said, and then that would be your daily. So for me, that sounds like a great way to get people back into the zones that maybe they're not going to anymore, and really put people in back into the world. So for me, I wonder if the daily is going to be the same for everybody, or like the daily doesn't reset until you finish it. So uh, I think it would be nice if everyone's dailies was a little bit different, and it would kind of spread the population throughout the map, because you don't want to say like, okay, everyone has this daily and you have to go to Sparkfly Fen, and then everyone's a Sparkfly Fen, and then it's crowded, and then it just wouldn't be fun that way. I don't think it'd be better if the population was spread out a bit. So the next thing he goes on to talk about are guilds. He doesn't mention too much about guilds, which is the one thing I'm sort of disappointed about, and I'm sure a lot of people are as well, because a lot of people have been really pushing for guild content and just larger group content, that is larger coordinated group content, not really like the big dragons and stuff like that. Because I think we could all agree that that doesn't really take too much coordination. It's basically a big Zerg fest on the Dragon's Foot. So people have really been kind of pushing the idea to get guild content out there, and I'm sort of disappointed that they didn't talk about guild content in detail at all. All they basically said was that they are going to put in missions for guilds, and they did say something about other people can experience the content that guilds create. So I was talking to one of my guildmates earlier, and he said maybe that guilds will, if guilds farm or guilds can get something, they could actually start events that other people can participate in. If that was the case, that'd be pretty cool. It reminds me of playing WoW in a long time ago in Vanilla WoW in Silithus, when you would farm the Twilight camps, and then you could start the little mini bosses, farm the mini bosses, and then start the big bosses as well. So I think that would be cool if it could be a great way to recruit in your guild. to get these guild events up, and then people come and say, we're the ones who started this guild, and then or started this event, and then you could join our guild as well. The next thing he mentions is World vs. World. Nah, it's not really anything new, anything different we've heard. They're trying to fix the culling problem still. If you don't know what the culling problem is, it's basically when there's so many people on the screen that come into your screen at once, you can't render it fast enough, so they're invisible. So basically, you're fighting invisible armies, and it gets really abused with the Mesmer portal. So a Mesmer will open up a portal like in the middle of a bunch of enemies, and then a whole bunch of his allies will come through. And then since they all come onto the screen so fast, you can't render it in time. So it's basically you're fighting a bunch of invisible people. So that's the culling problem, and they're trying to fix that. They're trying to add progression. They said prestige and advancement in World vs. World, so I'm guessing more titles and things like that. And they also, uh, Colin also said there are going to be World vs. World abilities, only World vs. World abilities. So you'll actually get abilities that are only for World vs. World. So that might be pretty cool. It just depends on what it is, I guess. They are adding guesting finally. They've been talking about that since pre-launch. So if you have friends on different servers, you can become a guest on that server and play with your friend. The only limitation is you can't play World vs. World with your friends on a different server. So you have to stay on your server to do that. And then I think a big one is I haven't even really heard anyone talk about it much is that Guild Wars 2 is now putting in paid transfers for servers, which I think a lot of people wanted Guild Wars 2 to avoid that, but I think just with all of the guilds switching back and forth between servers and making World vs. World almost, the balance between servers, like, it's just incredibly hard to balance because guilds are switching so much. I think maybe they found it a necessity to put in paid transfers. So if a guild wants to transfer, maybe they might lose like half their membership because maybe even more. Not people don't want to pay just to switch a server for World vs. World, or some people might, but not many people. I think a guild, if they try to do that, would lose a lot of their members trying to do that. So I don't know how I feel about that. I wish they didn't have to do that, but maybe in this situation, it just kind of calls for it. The next thing he talks about is PvP, and we know most of this stuff already. Basically, spectator mode is coming, and custom arenas are coming, so your team can practice. It's kind of like if you ever play FPS games, it's kind of like having your own server. It reminds me of when I played competitively in Counter Strike, and we had our own server, and we would be in there basically 4 or 5 hours a day, scrimmaging and coming up with strategies and stuff like that. It's going to be basically the same exact thing for Guild Wars 2 custom arenas. So you can, invite other people to come scrimmage you, and you can test out strategies and things like that. So basically, that's about it. He did go down a list of other things they're doing, but not really game changing. They are retuning and refining some of the boss fights and dungeons and out in the world, which I think is really required because a lot of bosses in this game are pretty face roll easy. And they're focusing on hackers and botters as well. And he just goes on to name a few more things. Basically, trying to find things that could be better in the game, things that are already in the game. They're going through and really trying to refine it and make it as good as possible. So this is the news from Colin Johanson in the blog post. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check it out. He also has a video, but it's not really in detail. You might as well just read the blog post if you want some detail about it. This has been Burden from AddictGaming.com. And remember, gaming addiction is a good thing, so keep on gaming. Is Chillblains. It applies poison and a chill in an area. Putrid Mark, which is number 4, it inscribes a mark and transfers condition